Hey, how are you? I hope everyone is all good. So, this is the third day on Concerta. I have literally just taken it, um, but I'll talk about other things I noticed on Sunday after I did the video and what I noticed at work yesterday after taking my second dose. So, one thing I had noticed on Sunday but didn't say in the video that I did was I'd noticed in the morning that once it had kicked in, time slowed down in a good way. Um, for me, particularly on a weekend and particularly on mornings before work, time just zooms by. You know, 1 minute I'm getting up, the next minute I'm having to be out the door, usually in a rush. Um, on Sundays, normally 1 minute I'm getting up, then it's lunchtime, and then it's time to go to bed. Sunday, the day went at just a nice pace. It lasted, so that was good. Several people remarked to me that I seemed calmer and more confident, and um, I I felt okay, particularly since February when I'd worked through all the fucking post-relationship grief from a year ago. It was actually a year ago yesterday I moved up here. Um, but I did say in the video on Sunday I was just feeling a bit more confident, and other people picked up on that as well. Sunday evening, I did have an evening meal, but I wasn't feeling that hungry. So that's the suppression of appetite side effect that you can get within the first few days, maybe the first few weeks of taking this. So I've researched, um, but I was able to eat it. Now yesterday morning when I woke up, because you have to take food before this, before taking the medication, I had to force myself to eat. I did not want to eat at all. Um, and I just had to make myself eat. At lunchtime, when I ate, other than the fact that the guys at work were gobsmacked because I normally have a large meal at lunchtime and a pretty large meal in the evenings, they were gobsmacked at how little I'd eaten. And yeah, so that won't hurt my pocket nor my waistline, let's face it. So that was good, but it was a bit of a grind to get through, and it was just a sandwich and a very light snack, and I really didn't want it, but I knew that I had to eat. I do a very physical job in a cold environment, so I did do that. My focus in the morning at work was yeah, massive difference. Again, time went slower, not in a bad way. I didn't feel worried or stressed about keeping my work rate up. I was just able to do the job whilst being careful of my back. After lunch, I did notice for about an hour that my focus was sort of dipping in and out a little bit. So not completely off as it had been before I was on the medication, but it was different. But then an hour after eating, that settled back down again. Then that lasted until about 5 in the evening. So I took the tablet yesterday at 5:45 in the morning. I worked till 6 in the evening, and then I noticed it start to wane over the last hour at work. The head was still quiet, and in fact on Sunday night it was still silent when I went to bed about 14 hours after taking the tablet on Sunday. To the point that there's an app that or one of several apps I used to use when I was traumatized in different times when I struggled with things to help me sleep at night. I used the Rain Sounds app, not to take attention away from what was going on in my head. It was because there was nothing going on in my head, and I'm not used to that. I've never experienced that just normally. So I did utilize that app Sunday night, but I had a very good sleep. What else have I noticed? Yeah, people at work said I seemed calmer and a bit more confident as well. And by yesterday evening, I still wasn't hungry. So for me, I had a very small meal, and whilst it wasn't the struggle it had been at lunchtime and first thing in the morning, I didn't really want to eat it. It was a case of knowing that I have to. But there we are. I also, because I do this visualization thing before I go to sleep, the colours and patterns and shapes and faces and things that I see, I am going to do a video on this because it is a known phenomenon. Were very vivid on Sunday night, and last night they were back to the normal level. So it could have been a one-off, could have been to do with medication, could not have been. I don't know. That's something I've experienced all my life as well. It's not just because of the medication. And although my head was silent last night when I went to bed, I didn't need the app. It's still going to take me get used to this, the quiet that isn't in my head at the moment. It was not back to the levels it had been, but the noise was there overnight and this morning since I've been up. But it's considerably lower than it ever has been before. So one tiny little tablet after 2 doses has made that difference. So it's been, it's just going to be a learning journey for the first month or so. I won't do continual updates on it unless I notice anything significant. I'll do one on the weekend when the dose goes from 18 milligrams to 36, and I'll be getting back to doing my other stuff. What was the other thing? Yes, we have an app that we use at work to pay in the canteen. I haven't installed it, so I have to pay cash. And yesterday the cash point was out at the garage that I use on the way to work if I need cash. And if we take food into work, it has to go into communal fridges in the canteen because it's a food production facility. You're not allowed to keep food or drink in your lockers. I've been there since October last year, and I've never felt comfortable doing that because I don't know everyone in the factory. When I've worked at offices in the past where you know everyone, or in a manual environment, I've taken food in. I haven't been able to do that because I'm like, someone's going to nick it, someone's going to take it. Yesterday at the garage, no cash, so rather than wing it and go to work and hope I can borrow some money off someone to get food at lunchtime, I just bought a meal deal. And I didn't even think about that until yesterday evening. So I just did that, whereas for 10 months beforehand, I haven't done it because I've worried about what might happen, despite the fact that many people at the factory do it and no one has their food nicked. So that seems to be another positive effect of calming things down. My back, I went to the osteopath on Friday, significantly better after that. It was sore yesterday morning. The last 3 or 4 Mondays, even if it's eased over the weekend, it's kind of clamped back up on Monday and then stayed that way and gotten worse over the week. This morning, it's as it has been over the weekend. So I wonder if, because the medication calms things down in there, whether because ADHDers and autistic people are known to carry aches and pains because things that neurotypical people don't struggle with in day-to-day life and environments stress us out, your system tenses. So I wonder whether that's additionally had any bearing on top of the work the osteo did on Friday, and then the exercises that I've done as directed, because you have to put the work in since then. And what I have considered over the last few weeks is that on a Monday, my system is getting ready for the week's physicality, which is why it feels worse on a Monday. But today, the last 4 weeks of Tuesdays when I've woken up, it's been even worse on the Tuesday. Today, it is as good as it was over the weekend. So is that just the injury getting better? Because there is an injury there. And or is it to do with the medication calming things down? I was able to wash up yesterday morning. If I don't wash up in the evening, I do it in the morning, but what I tend to do is leave it until just before I need to get ready for work. Time stress, don't like washing up. I find it boring, it's overwhelming, where do I start? Yesterday morning, I did it about 15 minutes after I took the tablet. I just thought, I better wash up now, and I just got on with it. So neurotypical people won't understand that. Neurospicy people may well, because we find everyday tasks a real grind to do because of the lack of dopamine. Yesterday morning, I was just able to get on with it. No dread, no boredom. And there we are. So that's some more positive things I've noticed. And yeah, if you're struggling, you've got to reach out. Have a good day doing whatever you're doing. See you later. Stop.